Hello and welcome to another video, and today I thought it would be fun to sit down now that we've finally had the PlayStation 5 reveal, and we've kind of had an Xbox reveal as well, only they've chose to do it over the last 6 months, kind of slowly, piece by piece, whereas Sony kind of built everything up until this moment and just decided to lay all their cards out on the table at once. With one key component missing from both companies right now, I think now is a great time to have a conversation about where both companies stand and, going forward, what am I most excited about when it comes to next gen consoles. As of this recording, PlayStation finally had their big event. They spent a little over an hour showing a bunch of games that we didn't know much about. Some games have been revealed before, but these were all games that they were very clear to say, hey, this is running on a PlayStation 5. But the most important factor here out of their show was that this is all gameplay. They showed a ton of gameplay, which is something that Microsoft really botched in their event from a couple weeks ago, and something they really need to make up for in July when they show off a bunch of first-party stuff like Halo. I think PlayStation had a fantastic showing. I think they showed a lot of things that I'm interested in, but when you take a step back and you look at the actual list of games talked about here, there were only 3 actual PS5 exclusive games. These are games I can only play on PlayStation 5 that I'm actually excited about. Those games, of course, are Horizon Forbidden West, Spider-Man Miles Morales, and then, of course, Demon's Souls Remake, which is just fantastic that it's actually happened. It's been rumored forever. So if you remove those 3 games, pretty much everything else that was shown here is a game that's going to be on the competition on the Xbox, with a couple minor exceptions. They showed that Sackboy game, which I have no interest in. I think it just looks like Knack 3, and some other things as well. A lot of indie games, PlayStation, but PlayStation's always done a nice job of mixing in indie games with their big AAA announcements as well. I think they had a nice compact showing within an hour. They showed a lot of next generation stuff off. Some things worked really well, some things looked really great, other things kind of don't really look next gen, so it's hard to grasp. On the flip side of that, and this is where the conversation's kind of going to be here, is Microsoft, up until their event they had in May, they really hit the ground running. They, showed off their box last December at the Game Awards. They've kind of went out there. They are going to be the most powerful of these 2 machines this time around. That's an argument I don't think they're ever going to lose again. And I think they're doing a lot of right things. And I'm going to be honest, if I stack these 2 systems side by side, I think the Xbox, from a cosmetic standpoint, looks fantastic. I think the PlayStation 5 looks hideous. Like, it looks like a shitty router from the mid-2000s. And I was really blown away at how bad the system actually looks. But that's the thing. Like, at the end of the day, it's a box I'm going to shove into my entertainment system and not really look at that much. So what does that really matter? For the PlayStation, I'm glad that Sony is finally not playing it safe with the DualShock, or the DualSense as they call this new controller. I think the new controller looks awesome. It looks a lot more beefier, so for somebody like me that has bigger hands, that's really nice. The D-pad, though, looks a little bit questionable, and Sony has always had, which I even have one right here, Sony has always had a fantastic D-pad. I mean, it's second to none. I think this is the best D-pad in the entire gaming market, and their D-pad on the DualSense looks a little questionable, so we'll see how it comes out. On the flip side of this, you have Microsoft, like, their new controller looks really good. It's kind of a play on what they've been doing. They're not really changing it up too much. There's a couple different buttons there I think that look cool, but overall, really great job in terms of controllers. I think both look fantastic. Systems, there's a clear winner for me in terms of cosmetics. Now, in terms of just overall right now, where does each company stand? It's more interesting and more neck and neck than I think it has been in recent years. Neither of these companies have really shot themselves in the foot yet. I gave Sony a lot of shit for the last couple months. No, not talking about the PS5, only focusing on PS4. And I think now they decided to just, hey, we're going to lay everything out on the table right now. And I think that strategy actually worked. But there's one big thing that neither of these companies want to do right now, and that is announce the price of this system. Nobody wants to go first here. Sony, they went first by doing something else here really interesting, which is they have 2 versions of their machine. One has a disk drive, one doesn't. This has been speculated about for a long time with what Microsoft's going to do, and I fully do expect that at the event in July, Microsoft will announce a discless version of the next Xbox as well. And I think this is a way to ease consumers into a digital-only system. Now, for me personally, I'm going for that disc drive. I would like to have the disc drive. I still want to buy physical games. You guys know I love physical games. Even though with everything that's going on in the world the last couple months, I've been mostly digital just because of that. I still want a disc drive. You know what? I still buy 4K Blu-rays, and I want to use those. And hey, guess what? Sony, you know, the people that own that technology, actually put a 4K Blu-ray drive in the new system, so that's crazy, right? So I fully expect next month Microsoft's going to say, hey, here's our discless version as well. But they're both playing chicken. Neither of them want to announce a price. And this is where the conversation gets interesting. The PlayStation, it's so hard to pinpoint, because I see both sides of it. I do see them coming out and say, hey, it's $600 because it has that NVMe drive in it, which is very expensive technology. Or on the flip side of it, it could be $500. But I think what's going to happen is, and this is my prediction, and I might eat these words, I think the disc version of the PS5 is a $600 system, and I think the discless version is $500. I think there's a $100 difference. And I think that's kind of their test to get people to push towards a digital-only machine. Now on Microsoft's side, this is where it gets even more interesting, because of the two companies, they're the ones that need to go for the throat. They've been in second place for the longest time, and they really need to come out and hit the ground running. And for this machine specifically, I think that Microsoft will do one of two things. They're either going to release their system at either $450 or $400 and just completely undercut Sony, or they put the system out for $500 but give everybody that purchases one a year of Game Pass for free. And think about that. If you can at least promise in the first year that consumers that buy your box are going to be able to play Halo Infinite and whatever this new Fable game is, along with Forza and whatever else they have planned in the first year, for free. That's an insanely compelling argument, and one that I don't think Sony has a plan for or a backup, you know, to combat right now. Game Pass just celebrated 10 million subscribers. That's insane. This is a service that's only about a year and a half old. They have 10 million subscribers. That service has just hit the ground running, and again, I still think, and I'm not being paid to say this or anything, it is the best value in gaming today. And I do fully support it, and it's fantastic knowing on launch day, even though I will buy a copy of Halo Infinite because I'm a massive Halo fan, it's cool to know that I don't have to. I can just use Game Pass to play it. It's a very interesting and compelling argument there. So it's going to be interesting to see what both of these companies do. Now, in terms of highlighting some of the games that we've seen here, it's a little hard to do that with this video because Microsoft hasn't shown their first-party stuff. Obviously, I've mentioned it several times right now, but Halo Infinite is probably my most anticipated game of this year, and I'm crossing my fingers and hoping that 343 can deliver a game that has a campaign on the level of what they delivered with Halo 4, because I think that's the best thing that they've done since they kind of took the reins of Halo over from Bungie. They also need to deliver compelling multiplayer as well. If they can make a perfect like Halo 3 package, I would be very happy. But they also need to mix it up. This is a game that needs to take risks. This is a game that needs to be different, but also celebrate the great legacy that Halo has. And Halo Infinite needs to do that. When they show it next month, they need to slap people in the face with Master Chief. And I hope that they do. One of the most other interesting games that I didn't even know, I knew that it was coming, it's been rumored for a long time, I didn't know it was going to be shown here, and I didn't believe the direction that was rumored, and when I read these rumors, I thought, oh, I don't know. And it's a game that I was mixed on the last one, and I'm surprised how much I'm into this new one. That is, of course, Resident Evil 8 Village. So the rumors are true. The game is called Resident Evil 8 Village. They did the cool, like, you know, Roman numeral 8 in the word village. I think that's fantastic. The most interesting aspect of this game, there's actually a couple, but the most interesting aspect right now is they're playing it up that Chris Redfield is a bad guy here. So they show him at the end of the trailer killing the Ethan Winters, the guy you played as in the last game, killing his wife, you know, the woman that you searched for. The whole purpose of Resident Evil 7 was searching for your lost wife, and they're just killing her right here. So That's interesting. But also the thing that I'm most interested about this game is it seems like it's set in Romania, and they're going with werewolves and vampires and not zombies. And I'm interested to see what kind of bullshit story they write around the virus, you know, infecting people in such a way. They show kind of these like 3 creepy vampire ladies in that trailer. They show some werewolves in that trailer, and I'm gonna be honest, like the going through the little mansion thing, showing those creepy vampire ladies, that was kind of creepy, and in a way that I really appreciated. So I'm really excited about Resident Evil 8 in a way that I was so on the fence, because the last one, you know, I liked it, but I didn't feel like it was a Resident Evil game. It felt to me like an answer to PT more than anything else. So this game looks fantastic, and easily the most anticipated thing that I saw coming out of Sony's conference. But again, that's a game that will be on everything, so you don't have to worry about it being an exclusive game to one console or one platform. Another one, and this one's a ball in Sony's court, Horizon Forbidden West. I loved Horizon Zero Dawn. It was a great, fantastic game, great experience. This sequel looks jaw-dropping. This is what I wanted to see. I want to see a game that's utilizing the power of one of these new machines. And this game it looks just jaw-dropping. I was floored with how good this game looks. For Sony's side of things, the other one that was exclusive that's big and it's near and dear to me is, of course, Demon's Souls. So I'm a huge Dark Souls fan. Dark Souls, the original, is my favorite of all of them. And for me, the one that I've never finished, the one that I never really connected with, was Demon's Souls. It was a PS3 exclusive. It had all sorts of kind of like server issues towards the end, and it was a very janky game, but I liked what they were going for. Dark Souls was the one that really dropped me into this world and into that franchise. It is a beloved game, and to get the Blue Point remake treatment, you know, these are the people that remade Shadow of the Colossus and some of these other high-profile Sony remakes. For them to take that franchise and remake it, it's really interesting that From Software is not doing this, which makes me wonder what they are doing right now besides Elden Ring, which is the other game I was hoping to see here, and it's mum, so I assume that game's going to be shown on Microsoft stage or whatever their video package is in July. But the Demon's Souls remake, just fantastic. It looks really good. You know, and then on Microsoft's side, and again, these were games that weren't exclusive by any means, but there was that Chorus game that was kind of like this space thing. I think that looked really fantastic and interesting. The other big one for me when Microsoft did their thing, and this is a broad, you know, wide scope third-party game, but it was on their stage, Assassin's Creed Valhalla. In the background here, since we've kind of been in quarantine, I've been playing Assassin's Creed Odyssey, which is a game that I never got into, and I've dumped in the last couple weeks here 100 hours into, and I'm nowhere even near completing that game. And I have other games now that are sitting and waiting for me. You know, we're a week away from Last of Us 2 and some other stuff, and I've just been playing that, and I've been loving and enjoying that game, and I think it's an incredible experience. I might even do a video upcoming about Odyssey, but Valhalla looks fantastic. I really can't wait to play that. The other game that really interests me from Microsoft's side of things was Scorn, which was kind of the H.G. Geiger designed like super horror game. It looks very alien-esque, and I look forward to seeing more of that. I think that's an interesting game. I think in terms of where we're going, a lot of things seem to be 2021 games. That's simply because of what's going on in the world right now, and that's fine. But I think that these systems are in a lot better place than we thought they were a couple months ago. And it's going to be really interesting to see what happens this fall. As I've said before, like, I'm a person that plans on getting both of them. I don't really have a bias towards each of them. I kind of pick and choose. I have months where, like, for me personally, I like both systems. This is the first generation I've actually liked both systems. It seems like as I've grown up and stuff, like, I've always gravitated towards one or the other, but I've always owned everything. And for me, this generation's been the first one where I've kind of went through periods of like, okay, this couple months I'm playing everything on the Xbox, then I switch, these couple exclusives come out for PlayStation, now I'm playing a bunch on the PlayStation, and I keep going back and forth, you know, like, right now I have, I'll just give you guys an example. I have this East remake game that I'm playing on the PlayStation, and then also in another week I have Last of Us. I'm going to have a lot of PlayStation time coming up. But then, you know, I've been playing Assassin's Creed Odyssey on the Xbox One X, so, you know, I have just going back and forth a lot. But I haven't really been biased this generation, and this next generation I don't think I'm going to be either. I was really worried about Sony because I thought, oh man, they're going to go PS3 again, and they're not doing that. And I'm so happy that they're not doing that because that was my biggest fear for them. And I'm glad to see a much more confident Microsoft this time around, and I think having Phil Spencer behind things is really what's helping them. So it's really interesting. I look forward to doing another video like this in July, more focused on Microsoft and whatever they show. But for me right now, I think the future is very healthy for console games and for these systems, and I really look forward to seeing both of these systems launch this fall. I'm really interested to know what you guys think about the systems, what you guys thought about Sony's conference, Microsoft's conference that they had last month, and what games you're excited about playing on these new systems. Anyways, guys, as always, remember to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. And also, as always, until next time.